Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to us live every Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtime on ebizradio.com, where we talk everything leadership, coaching, and marketing. And you can listen to the Lunchtime Series on all your major podcast channels today. In our marketing and leadership segment, joining me as per usual, marketing and communications expert and co-host Craig Pagely. How are you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm great, thank you. Yeah, just sitting here next to the gas fire, keeping warm as we really get to experience what winter's like in South Africa today.
Yeah, when we have those cold days, they're definitely cold.
And I've been outdoors a bit
cold.
as well. Yeah, the wind chill factor really is the fact that's making it as cold as it is. Yeah.
So, Craig, on the weekend, how was the weekend for you?
It was great. Lots of sports, MotoGP to watch, so obviously tennis to watch, and then played Saturday and Sunday. In fact, Friday as well, Friday into the evening, padel. So thoroughly enjoying getting onto a court with the mates and actually doing a bit of sport these days.
So, yes. So, what I can say that I finally, because you always mention sports, and I'm like, well, I don't watch sports. I'm one of those guys, but I do watch. I watch tennis, and I always wait for like the like quarterfinal, semifinal, because that's when you really know the tennis, just the level of playing is just like, oh my god, like that's just unbelievable. Like how some of the shots that they make, it's amazing. But old Djokovic just set some world records this weekend, because, and I don't know if this is the latest ones, but Djokovic has won a record 38 master titles, versus where Federer has won 28.
Wow.
He's won, both Djokovic and Federer sit 1-2 on the list of the players who have won the most master titles on hard courts in the Open era, with Djokovic at 27 and Federer at 22. And with him winning the French Open yesterday, I think he's now, he's beaten Serena Williams, and there's one other person whose record he's actually broken in the world, from the just the purest talent that this man has. It's almost ridiculous. It's annoying how talented he is. I've got to the point where I'm rooting for the other people to just like kind of go like just kick his ass just a little bit, like. But he's just phenomenal.
But what's really interesting is how divided the world of tennis is. There are ardent Nadal fans who just don't ever want to see Djokovic win. Then there are the ardent Federer fans who are never going to see him play again because he's obviously retired and hung up his racket. And then this powerhouse Djokovic, he just really, really is. It's incredible.
What's noticeable about him is not when he's up front is great. When you first set, second set, third set, it's the sustainability of that man. When he gets to sets 4 and 5, and you start seeing how he plays every shot as if he just started playing the game. Like he doesn't look tired. The stamina and absolute like focus that he has is absolutely profound. And I think there's some leadership lessons in there. I should actually like compare that. But I mean, like it's profound how that man, he has it's like a brain switch, and he like goes back on court, and it's like he hits the first ball every single time. It's just amazing. But we're not here to talk about tennis.
No, but so Kevin, if you have some kind of interest in it, a fascination with, you must go and try out the.
Craig is gone.
You must definitely get. Yes, we're not. But get your exit. Can you hear me now, Kevin?
I can. It's back. It went away, but now it's back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's breaking. Yeah, okay, it is breaking up quite a bit, but I can definitely see and hear you.
Okay, well, let's try again. You were saying the fascination, yeah?
Perfect. With your fascination of tennis, you should definitely put on some sneakers and get out on that court and go and try a game of padel.
Well, I mean, because I have them here in Pretoria, and I was standing there watching that, thinking, okay, I don't need to play tennis to, like, I could do this. So it's definitely on my list to do
Yes.
things for the next couple of weekends. So yes. But Craig, so
Good.
to kick it off with for our listeners, give us a key reminder of last week's conversation, because I think it was quite an interesting one with the workforce of the future.
Oh, Kevin, thank you. It really was a great article. So we covered the PwC report titled Workforce of the Future, the Competing Forces Shaping 2030. And the report is structured around the concept of these 4 worlds of work in 2030, and it highlights the drivers of each of the territories defined, Kevin. So there's a great reference for business leaders in the report, which provides 6 simple truths about the future of workforce. But before highlighting those 6 points, I just want to read the opening paragraph from the foreword, which is written by Carol Stubbings, Global Leader, People and Organization at PwC. And the opening paragraph reads as follows. We are all living through a fundamental transformation in the way we work. Automation and thinking machines are replacing human tasks and jobs and changing the skills that organizations are looking for in their people. These momentous changes raise huge organizational talent and HR challenges at a time when business leaders are already wrestling with unprecedented risks, disruption, and political and societal upheaval. Now, with that in mind, Kevin, you'll see why the 6 simple truths about the future of work are so applicable and important for business leaders. The first point is act now. And this isn't about some far future of work. We all know that change is already happening and accelerating at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
The second point is no regrets and bets. And the future isn't a fixed destination, Kevin. So organizations need to plan for a dynamic rather than static future. And you'll need to recognize the multiple and evolving scenarios to be able to adapt and be adept in that regard. Make no regrets. Moves that work with most scenarios, but you'll need to make some bets too. And this was an interesting one. So as much as you're in the position to get as much clarity, there's certain areas of business you're going to have to hedge your bet on. Point 3 is make a bigger leap. Don't be constrained by your starting point. You might need a more radical change than just a small step from where you are today. And that could be one of those take some bets propositions as well. Point 4 is own the automation debates. And automation and artificial intelligence will affect every level of business and its people, Kevin. It's too important an issue to leave to just the HR or IT department alone. And the depth of understanding and a keen insight into the changing technology landscape is an absolute must for every single business leader. Point 5 is people, not jobs. Really like this point. Organizations can't protect jobs which are made redundant by technology, but they do have a responsibility to their people. So protect people, not jobs, nurture agility, put some adaptability and reskilling into the organization. And then the last point here is build a clear narrative. A third of the workforce around the world are anxious about the future and their jobs due to automation, Kevin. An anxiety that kills confidence and willingness to innovate. How your employees feel affects the business today. So start a mature conversation about what that future looks like. And those are the key 6 business points from last week's conversation.
Fantastic. Great. So thank you so much, guys. If you want to check it out, it's the 4 worlds of work, a really interesting conversation on how the world is changing and how we fit into that and the impact that it's having and the awareness that we need to start having around business. But I mean, Craig, so with that said, what are we going to chat about today?
Yeah, Kevin, today I want to pick up on a topic we haven't spoken about for a long time, but in this particular instance, purely focusing on it, that of marketing segmentation and how to overcome some of the challenges that companies are faced with when trying to define who their optimal target market is. So to kick off with, let's first set some context to the term segmentation. So according to Investopedia, market segmentation is a marketing term that refers to aggregating prospective buyers into groups or segments with common needs and response similarly to market action. Market segmentation enables companies to target these different categories of consumers who perceive the full value of certain products and services differently from one another. According to techtarget.com, market segmentation is a marketing strategy that uses well-defined criteria to divide a brand's total addressable market share into smaller groups. Each group or segment shares common characteristics that enable the brand to create focused and targeted products and offers and experiences to those smaller group segments. And as you know, Kevin, there are generally 4 types of segmentation or variables that actually define the fact that marketers use to categorize their audiences. And these 4 types are the likes of demographics, geographic, psychographic, and behavioral traits. And there's an article that I came across on LinkedIn that actually provides a really simple and clear definition of actually what makes up these 4 definitions, Kevin. It was written by Prince Solomon, Digital Marketing Manager at Market Fix Media, and was published as recently as the 23rd of February this year, and we note the following. So, demographic segmentation is one of the most popular and commonly used types of market segmentation. It refers to statistical data about a group of people, and examples for segmenting the likes of a B2B audience would include age, gender, income, location, family situation, total annual income, education, and ethnicity. And some examples of actually B2B audiences would include the likes of company size, industry, and job function. And Prince Solomon makes an important point here, Kevin, where he says demographic information is the statistical factual, and it is usually relatively easy to uncover using various sites for market research. And I actually went and had a look at them. There's a hell of a lot of sites out there with some really great market research platforms and tools available to many people. So moving to the second dimension, that of psychographic segmentation, we note that this level of segmentation categorizes audiences and customers by factors that actually relate to their personalities and characteristics. And examples of these include the likes of personal traits, values, attitudes, interests, lifestyles, psychological influences, subconscious and conscious beliefs, motivations, and priorities. And Prince Solomon again makes an important point here where he states that psychographic segmentation is a subjective type of segmentation that is generally quite difficult to identify. Moving to the third dimension, that of behavioral segmentation, Kevin, both demographic and psychographic segmentation focus on who a customer is, whereas behavioral segmentation actually focuses on how the customer interacts and acts with brands. And examples include the likes of purchase habits, spending habits, user status, and brand interactions. And we note that behavioral segmentation requires that you know about your customers' actions. And then finally, the fourth dimension is that of geographic segmentation. And obviously, this is the simplest type of marketing segmentation, which categorizes customers based on geographic borders, and the likes of that would include zip code, city, country, radius around a certain location, climate, and even urban or rural.
Correct. So, I mean, with that in context, why do brands need segmentation to gain an advantage?
Yes, good question. So the article titled Market Segmentation, Where Companies Go Wrong and Why You Need Differential Advantage Analysis was written by Alan Weiss and published to marketingprofs.com on 2nd of December 2022. And it covers the question in some detail, Kevin. The article opens with a fairly obvious statement and fact that those in marketing are generally aware of, namely that when you're facing a lot of competition, one way to understand your situation is to segment the market, primarily because a well-segmented market gives you a much better view of that competitive landscape. And you know this all too well, having to establish and evaluate where you operate in your particular business. So while I mentioned it's a fairly obvious statement, the approach does also help organizations understand where the gaps of opportunity are and where other competitors are not focusing or targeting. And in the instances where competitors have not segmented effectively, you'll definitely see them targeting everyone with a fairly broad brush blanket approach. This is ineffective and obviously a waste of marketing resources and budget. So breaking your market down into groups or segments and knowing how, where, and when to reach your ideal audience will definitely give you that competitive advantage. Kevin, the article also notes that many organizations get segmentation wrong because, again, they segment against a long list of potential categories instead of focusing on some of the key drivers that are most relevant and important to that particular segment's needs. And as an example of this relates to B2B marketing, where marketers are often asked to focus their sales activities and communications on vertical marketing, which refers to an industry, a trade, or a profession, or a group of clearly defined customers. And the idea is to not only products or services that are specialized to meet those customers' needs in a particular interesting, but knowing what brands and organizations in that vertical cares about is vitally important. So don't make assumptions that everyone in a vertical actually cares the same about a particular benefit, as this is definitely, again, a waste of money when trying to communicate to all audiences around the same benefit. Look to hyper-targeting and really build your segmenting around the key benefits, which allows you to exactly where a competitor is playing and where you may have a distinct advantage.
Craig, I've just come up with a fantastic AI idea. I think if we used AI to help create the perfect avatar, so that we could take all of these segmentation things into place, and using the information, it sort of collates and starts designing and creates your perfect kind of avatar. AI could take all the data and you could say, okay, well, this is my client, this is one of my clients, or these are my clients I've had for the last 10 years. Put all that information into some kind of platform and generate that person I'm looking to sell to. You know, if there's there isn't for I'm thinking now in personal capacity, there is usually you would go to a brand strategist or a sales marketer or salesperson, and they'll figure it out. But there's no actual platform. There's a gap. That's what I think. There's a gap.
So that's a really good point, because I actually haven't seen any automated profiling tools at this particular point. Because at the end of the day, what you're alluding to is the automation of persona categories. So you would obviously, as you say, take 10 years of understanding who your clients are, structure them into various personas. What is their intent? How do they engage with you? How do they engage with media, etc., and look at all of the other the 4 factors of segmentation. Now, I haven't seen a single AI model or tool that actually delivers customized persona frameworks. It's definitely worth looking at.
There's a gap in the market there, Craig. We should.
I'm going to go and have a look at that. There might be one lurking under the skin somewhere here, but definitely nothing jumps out to me. It says, "Hey, I've seen that in play." So yeah, good point.
Because I mean, if you had something like that, and you could torture, or what's the word? It's not torture. You could manipulate the data to that degree and kind of go, okay, how will this affect the avatar if we took this segmentation out, and kind of see how it made sense. But if you had something like that, it would be a very powerful platform for so many brands to kind of go, okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So how do I then market to those people? And then, you really got some really good idea on segmenting quite specifically and how to speak to them, what that language is. And but I mean, Craig, how do brands and organizations know what's important to their customers and what benefits they're after or need?
So I think this plays very much into the question or the comment you just made around some kind of automated AI response to personas, because it really is about understanding deep data analytics and understanding, running focus groups, adopting the likes of trying to establish product and service needs, feedback, and then actual, even looking at some managerial judgment within organizations really helps just bring the likes of this to the fore, and it helps you get to understand those verticals, helps you get to understand customers' needs, and most importantly, what's important to them.
I just want to add to that, Craig, because essentially you can, I know there's some platforms that can pick up the IP addresses of certain companies. So if they know that a certain area, or if the AI platform or whatever picks up on what companies are actually clicking on your website,
yes,
that elevate the data in any case, right?
Yes,
so
most definitely.
There's so many ways that could really just play into this.
Absolutely, Kevin. And you're talking to the power of data there. They're phenomenal tools and capability, even within the Google suite, that can really tell you, from which country to which region to which town at what time, what device the inquiry or investigation came from. So definitely, this is really about the deep customer data and analysis that comes to the fore here. But again, there are different kinds of data analysis methodologies that one can apply here, Kevin. And a simple approach would just be on the basis of identifying a random sample of customers in the market and then asking them how important each benefit is of the product or service that they're engaging with. So, simply ask the customers to rank the benefits in relation to importance, like using a 100-point methodology. The 100-point method, allocate 100 points to each of the benefits most important to them, and then the more points they assign, obviously the more important that particular benefit is read in that context, and the more critical that benefit is to them, and this constant sum is appropriate with less than or equal to 10 benefits. So when you've got products or services that are filled with benefits, you won't be applying this kind of methodology. The flip side of that is you could use co-joint analysis to identify much deeper insights around the most significant benefits of the respondent's choice or decision making. And the article does, however, caution that many articles illustrate the process as using features and attributes rather than benefits. But this really is about identifying and structuring the feedback around benefits. But here's an interesting one, because this almost talks to the point you raise again here, where once the data sets are actually defined, Kevin, apply a clustering program to segment the data. And then the first thing you'll get here is a scree plot that indicates how many segments exist within that framework. And then you can determine the function around 3 factors within those subset segments. And there's a really great example that I'm going to cite here. Firstly, though, look at statistical fit. What the empirical data says. You always have to go back to understand the reality of empirical data. The second function of the 3 factors is what makes the most sense from a managerial point of view around the business and the brand, and then and in terms of managing the audience segments as well, and then whether the identified segments can actually be readily targeted. Are they in an environment, in a way, and a space that you can get to them easily? So the cluster analysis examples referenced in the article actually looks at the segmentation of a really important product suite, and that is home exercise equipment. And they've then applied the 3 segment factors and functions to this particular audience grouping, and they came out with 3 distinct identifiers around the feedback that the segments spawned out, and it was a spatial representation of segments and segmentation variables using the principal component analysis. And the chart depicted the following really important points for consideration, Kevin, here, where one segment cares most about convenience, one segment cares most about having an enjoyable or entertaining experience, and one segment, the third segment, cares primarily about status and identity and the ability to share, in use, share through social media, but also the aesthetics of the product in question as well. So there you can see 3 distinct different takes on the same product and home exercise equipment by applying these very stringent principles of understanding statistical fit, what makes sense from a managerial point of view, and where the identified segments can really be targeted. And then what you do is you go and overlay that on your competitors' segmentation map as well, and then you get to understand and establish precisely where the competitors are targeting. And then this approach will allow marketers to clearly identify the nature of the competitive landscape, which is very different from the view of the market broken down by company size or other classification. Because now you can establish in your competitor set, are the majority of your competitors playing around convenience, or are they playing around having an enjoyable, entertaining experience, and what is the message and engagement around that? Or is it about creating a brand that really is high on the status value driver set?
Craig, you know what? I'm just listening to the third segment here of primarily status identity, and
Yes.
in my head, I'm immediately going, that's just stupid. Like that's a stupid segmentation to be part of. But what I'm doing is I'm coming from my map.
There we go.
So I think, there are people out there who are looking for status and identity, and they identify with having a certain status. And it's the one thing that I haven't considered in my own brand. Like if you dealt with me, there would be a certain status that you would, elevate to. And I'll tell you about the CEO conversation that we had last week. But essentially, that's essentially what it goes to. Like that does appeal to people, and because it kind of seems like that's like a shallow, segmentation. Like do people really segment to status and identity?
Yes,
And
Kevin.
that's personal view, but I'm realizing that's I might be wrong.
No, but to that point, they absolutely do. If one has a look at a brand which has just unfortunately had some really, tragic losses in the business and really has taken a major nosedive more than once coming out of COVID pandemic, was the Peloton brand. And the Peloton brand is very much built around that classic identifier around a status symbol brand usage. It's like, getting out on the road and seeing guys with 130, 140,000 Rand, specialized bicycles when the same equivalent performance on a Trek or Scott would be half the price, so that's exactly, about status. And absolutely.
Yeah, I just find it very interesting that I've never made that connection until this very moment. So what are some of the benefits of applying the differential advantage analysis?
So Kevin, apart from being able to really see what customers are looking for in those specific products or services, the process actually helps brands identify the benefits that align with the core competencies of the business. And this really allows you to push off the competition, even in a highly commoditized market, because when you've got the identifiers aligning totally with the core competencies, you're definitely going in the right direction. And another point here is once you've segmented your markets in this regard, Kevin, you'll find one or two of the segments where you might be able to compete directly against the competition. And in using the home exercise equipment, you might not want to even play in the status identifier. You want to play in the space around value and equipment quality and the like. So the approach here is to take the benefits of the segments you select and then consider your company and its core strengths and see whether you have strengths that map directly onto the benefits that the market cares about, always taking into account the fact that you need to understand what the market cares about and match and align the proposition to them. And the point that stood out for me the most here is that this process will help you determine whether your company actually has core competencies and what these are. And if there's no alignment, then you really need to think whether the business needs to refocus to find what the core competencies could be.
Yeah.
But Kevin, just to provide some context there, the core competencies are your organization's unique strengths and abilities with specific characteristics that do three things. Firstly, provide potential access to a wide variety of markets, make it difficult for a competitor to imitate, and make a significant contribution to the benefits of the products. So in closing on this point, see whether you have core competencies, and map them directly onto the benefits the market cares about. If you do, you'll have a strong advantage and the ability to rise above any competition. If you don't have strengths or core competencies that map directly into the benefits spectrum for customers, then going after a segment that cares about those benefits will be difficult, because offering the benefits won't likely be viewed as credible. So again, you really need to ensure that the proposition or what the consumer market needs are aligned, and that the values stand for the values of the prospective customer as well, Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to just quickly look at some examples of brands that are using the segmentation effectively, Kevin. And there's a lot of content on the web covering this particular point, but some with some case studies, some really good case studies validating the approaches that the respective businesses and or brands take. But let's just take a look at a few of the brands we're familiar with, starting with the likes of H&M. H&M use a demographic and date of birth segmentation. And it's one of the easiest and most common ways to segment customers is by their date of birth, giving you great opportunity. And as I like what the article says, and an excuse to send them personalized emails without appearing pushy. H&M is one of the brands that uses the segmentation criteria. They offer the likes of birthday discounts, which are valid for a fixed period of time, 25%, nice, generous discounts, and that's just predominantly to everybody whose age they know. Coca-Cola, again, also geographic segmentation. This is a really interesting business, and there's some really great insights when you read deeper into the segmentation methodologies applied by Coca-Cola. But firstly, any customer segmentation example is splitting buyers into groups based on their location. Yes, that's the approach for Coca-Cola, but they sell their products globally, and therefore they really need to understand across the 200 countries or so what the particular needs for the products are in those respective regions. An example here is the Seal. It's a CIEL, Seal bottled water, which is only sold in Mexico, Morocco, and Angola. So out of 200 countries that they operate in, they've understood that product's relevance and meeting the needs in 3 of 200 countries only. Yeah. The brand tailors its offering to local tastes. For example, they acknowledge that consumers in Asia prefer sweeter flavors than those in the US or Europe, and they modify their drink formula to satisfy these different preferences as well. Another great brand here is Adidas Originals, which offers limited edition daily wear and cultural fashion apparel and footwear that's typically more colorful but less athletic in appearance, whereas the standard Adidas caters to the individuals who really are participating or want to participate in sport. And Zara uses undifferentiated segmentation, which focuses predominantly on young people. And the primary motivation for this activity is that younger people are much more likely to update their wardrobes by current fashion trends. And then finally, Netflix targets consumers are divided into segments based on demographics, behavioral intents, and psychographic segmentation. And they target their predominant clients are young adults, teens, and low middle income families according to demographics, Kevin. So you can see a different principle of approach across different industry types and product types.
Yeah, what's interesting is that these very well-known brands, just in the way that the points that you've made about them, also shows how they take the data, take the information, take their segmentation, yes, and evolve with their and move into what the audience really is looking for. So it's really amazing to kind of see that, in real time, you can hear how who knew that Asia likes sweeter Coca-Cola than the rest of the planet? Yeah. It's weird facts like that. That's really a good takeaway.
And that's why these data analysis overlays and programs are vitally important to extract through the research in market research to really get to understand the relevance of your product in that market and meeting the needs on a continuous basis.
Yeah, absolutely. But Craig, as we end today's show, what are the key takeaway points for our listeners?
Kevin, as a recap, let's just start with a paragraph recap first. Market segmentation is the process of dividing a target market into smaller, more defined categories. It segments customers and audiences into groups that share similar characteristics, such as demographics, interests, needs, or location. By referencing investopedia.com, we note the following key takeaways for today's conversation, Kevin. Market segmentation seeks to identify targeted groups of consumers to tailor products and branding in a way that is attractive to the group. Markets can be segmented in several ways, such as geographically, demographically, or behaviorally. Market segmentation helps companies minimize the risk by figuring out which products are most likely to earn a share of the market and the best way to market and deliver those products to the market. With risk minimized and clarity about the marketing and delivering of a product heightened, the company can focus its resources on efforts likely to be the most profitable. And market segmentation can also increase a company's demographic reach and may help the company discover new products or services that they actually previously hadn't even considered. And some of the benefits of marketing segmentation are noted as follows. It allows management to focus on certain demographics or customers, stronger brand image, greater potential for brand loyalty, stronger market differentiation, better targeted digital advertising, focus on the customers that matter most, power new product development, design more effective marketing, deliver better customer service, develop a more customer-centric culture, create a superior experience for customers, and finally, increased resource efficiencies. And in closing, Kevin, effective segmentation should be measurable, accessible, substantially differentiable, and actionable. And when a company has segmented their market accordingly, there's a high chance it will become more profitable and successful in the long run. And those are the key takeaways for today.
Fantastic, Craig. As always, there's always something to be learned, and status and identity, like I was like, that's really stuck with me. I'm so, I think it's just a bit, it comes back to that human factor where certain people, it doesn't, I don't buy something because it's going to create status for me. I buy something because I like it. But when you start thinking from a, delivering product, and how you're delivering product, and does this create a sense of status for people, or a sense of something that differentiates them in some way, that could really be a drawing card for a lot of people. So I think that's brilliant. That's a good sort of recognition to have. So Craig, thank you so much. Thank you for the insights, guys. If you want to catch it, it's every Thursday live on ebizradio.com. And Craig and I are always hashing it out and coming up with new and wonderful, Craig's coming up with new and wonderful, interesting topics to share with us. Craig, thank you so much and have a great week. Oh, wait,
brilliant.
I've got
Kevin. Have you got a quote for us today?
A quote for you, actually, from the CEO of the CEO of Airbnb. He said, and I know you're going to love this. He said, build something 100 people will love, not something 1 million people kind of like.
Brilliant.
Brian Chesky from the CEO of Airbnb. So, yeah, I think that's important. If people love it, it makes a massive impact on them wanting to share it with more people. So that's a good point.
Absolutely.
But yes, thank you for.
I like that. Thank you.
And have a good week. I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.